EDHREC'd shows you the most popular commanders ever, compiling all the deck data on the internet to reveal the most common decks and the most common cards in those decks. But what about the least popular commanders? What about the legends that no one is playing? We know that the Ur-Dragon is the number 1 right now, but who's the number 10,000? Welcome back to the channel, I'm Joey, let's get EDHREC'd, and let's see if we can figure out the answer to this question. This is actually one of the most common questions, one of the most common requests that we get via email and comments all the time. What is the least popular commander in the entire format? Who is the monarch of mediocrity, the lord of losers, the father of floppage? Which legend is the GeoCities of Commander? Well, the answer is a lot harder to quantify than you might think. In this video, I am going to break it down, and yes, we will find the official least popular legend. We absolutely will be uncovering the definitive answer in this video, but it is going to take a moment to explain. So you're in for a fun discovery journey here. So let's kick things off. Well, why is this whole thing so complicated? Why not just show all the commanders who have 0 total decks, right? Well, the biggest hurdle about tracking the least popular legends is the partner mechanic, and all of its many variations, such as backgrounds. There are 56 legendary creatures or eligible planeswalker commander options with the original partner keyword, which means that we have 1,540 possible partner pairings. On top of that, we also have things like backgrounds, friends forever, doctor's companions, and now even recently partner with a qualification, such as partner survivors, which weirdly means that the secret layer Ellie can apparently partner with herself. May we all aspire to that level of self-love. Each of those mechanics represents more and more and more possible combinations. Almost all eligible permutations have at least one deck, and usually more than one, but some combinations are such duds that they have garnered 0 total decks across all of the deck building websites that EDHREC'd draws data from. This is the one that I use. I think it's cool. You can find my decks linked in the description below. So, okay, pair-up mechanics kind of swell the bottom of the list, Joey, that's great, but what about the non-partner commanders that have 0 decks to their name? Well, there aren't any. Every standalone commander has at least one deck in the EDHREC'd database. More on that in a moment. Trust me, it's a journey. But for right now, like, okay, the stuff that has 0 decks, surely that's the least popular, right? So if we do have just partner combinations filling up the 0 deck totals, how many 0 deck partner combos are there filling up that part of the list? The answer is that it's a 283-way tie. 283 possible partner or background or other such pair-up combinations that no one has ever built around before. I can't show all 283 of those possible pair-ups here on screen. I cannot show you 566 cards all at once because I am in fact a mortal man, and let's be so for real, this is also one of the reasons why this information gets so difficult to show on EDHREC'd 2. Your computer might explode. But here are a couple of representative examples amongst that population. For instance, Glacian and Kelith, or Numa and Cyani, or take the 10th Doctor and Dan Lewis. There's also Rasad and Criminal Past. Kinda hard to make those abilities cooperate with each other. Even if the cards are individually intriguing, there are dozens of other pairings that you could choose from to partner up with those that would achieve a lot more attention and popularity. So these are just the mashups that aren't as compelling. I can't get to all of those here in this video, but I will leave this portion of the list scrolling at the end of this video for those who are curious. But also, I plan to post the entire list over on Patreon. To be clear, this is all information that's already available on EDHREC'd itself, but here it would be more concisely compiled for your convenience. If you'd like to take a look, check out patreon.com/EDHREC'cast, and if you like what you're watching, consider supporting the channel by helping out in all of those friendly YouTube ways too. There's a lot more cool stuff where this came from. So, okay, 283 pairs where no one cares. Even if it's a really big tie, surely that's our answer for the least popular commander option, right? Well, as you can tell by the fact that this video isn't over, no, that's not the full story. Technically, you could play just one partner on its own. If we want the official answer to who is the worst of the worst, we should be comprehensive. And technically speaking, some people do play unpartnered commanders all the time. There are 21 decks for just Kydel with no partner in the EDHREC'd database, because she is a strong, independent woman who don't need no man. There is technically one deck in the EDHREC'd database that has just Halden and no Paco. That's someone else's list that they worked on. It's not up to us to decide whether or not that's a troll or an error or if they're doing it in earnest. All we can tell you is that those things do exist. So here at the bottom of the barrel, 0 decks exist land, yeah, some people could play, I don't know, the Prismatic Piper all on its own. That's a little bit like playing 60 Planes and calling it a modern deck, but you could do that. It's dumb, but it is technically legal. That would also count as a legal commander deck that no one is building, that has 0 decks. So then we don't have a 283-way tie, we would have to account for every single individual card that has any kind of pair-up ability. Technically correct is the best kind of correct, so they say. No, it's not. This sucks. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling like all of this partner and pair-up nonsense is getting in the way of us finding a definitive answer to what is the least popular commander out there. I feel like that's not a satisfying answer to the question of who is the least popular commander. When someone asks me that, I don't want to say that it's either a 283-way tie or it's Halden Solo without his Chewbacca. Besides, it doesn't feel right to me that the answer would end up being a partner or a combination in the first place. Even if one of those partner pairings has 0 decks, those individual partner-up cards could still be super popular in other combinations. That's the case with Barakos, after all. It has a 1-deck combination with Inspiring Leader, but it has tons of decks with the background Folk Hero. That's no coincidence, that's correlated. One option is so good that it sucks up all the air from the others. Even if one combination is a 0, its overall numbers are way higher than any standalone commander with just 10 decks or something like that. So maybe we need to reevaluate. I think we brush all of that partner and pair up stuff aside. I think the direction that we've got to go down to find a real satisfying answer is to allow us to focus not on the partners and instead just look for a singular legend, a non-partner, non-background, non-paired, eligible, standalone legend that has the fewest decks. That will mean going above the threshold of just 1 or 2 decks, but that's going to be worth it if it means that we'll find our guy. I told you it was going to be a journey. Let's start that exploration right after a quick word from our sponsors. Huge thank you to Dragon Shield for sponsoring the channel. Dragon Shield sleeves are so cool. They just released a line of guild sleeves, which are stunning. The Azoria sleeves are white on the outside and blue on the inside. The Golgari sleeves are black on the outside and green on the inside. This guild series is just so good. Head to dragonshield.com/EDHREC and use code EDHREC for a discount. And maybe even consider checking out the custom EDHREC sleeves too while you're there. Dragon Shield takes amazing care of your cards, which is what your cards deserve. So protect your deck like a dragon over at dragonshield.com/EDHREC and use code EDHREC, all lowercase, for a discount. Thank you to Dragon Shield for sponsoring the channel. This video is also sponsored by Cardsphere.com, the best way to convert cards you're not using into cards that you want. You can set up your wants list of stuff that you're looking for and the condition or price that you're willing to accept, and other people can start sending those things your way. And you can trade off your stuff that you're not using in your own time when you find other people looking for those things too, from super expensive cards to a bunch of bulk. Check out Cardsphere.com/EDHRECcast for a great community of people who are putting the trading back in trading card game. Once again, that's Cardsphere.com/EDHRECcast. Alright, so we've got our focus here. We're looking for the least popular, solo, standalone, non-paired up legend. What do we get when we start looking for those types of commanders at the bottom of the barrel? Well, like I said, there are none of those types of commanders that have 0 decks to their name. There's also none of those that have 1 deck, but we do find some that have just 2 decks to their name. So what are they? If we look here, what do we get? The answer is Stockman and Mikey and Mona Mutant Sitters. Okay, finally an answer, and each of these cards have just 2 decks. That's our answer, right? Right? While it may feel emotionally correct to some players that yes, the answer would be a Spider-Man or TMNT Draft Chaff card, I unfortunately can't submit this as a final answer. Something very important does not resonate here, and I bet a lot of folks will agree that regardless of your opinions about IP crossover or how poorly certain sets have done, these examples are too new to be the official true least popular legends. These examples could very easily just have super few decks because these sets are relatively new compared to the entire complex EDH ecosystem. These are not legends that have been planted in that spot for a long time and that have dug their heels in. They're still figuring out where it is that they're going to land. This is a good time to remember that also when we're trying to answer this question, what is the least popular commander, we also have to ask the question, what about time? EDHREC undergoes daily refreshes and data pulls. We're acquiring new deck data all the time and adjusting as players change or remove their lists online too. In other words, this is a constantly moving target. All it would take is a couple of people to build something tomorrow and a deck could jump from 2 to 7 lists. And that's not a huge drop in the bucket necessarily, but that does become enough to remove it from contention from our search here, where we're trying to find the true set in stone bottom of the barrel commander. Point is, when you look matters just as much as what you're looking looking at. Here in a YouTube video, I can only ever provide you with a snapshot, a time capsule, but there's an impermanence here that we can't not address, and that's especially going to be true for newer commanders. The data moves a lot, and that's compounded even more when we're talking about cards from sets whose age is best measured in months rather than years. If I'm looking for the least popular legend, I think we ought to find the one who's at least been around the block before, at least who's been around for a minute, where the tides have settled, where it's had the chance to pass go and to collect $200. We need something that has proven its bona fides as the draggiest of the dregs, not some newcomer piece of crap. I want the dedicated old piece of crap. So we must expand again, moving our scope slightly outward past all of those other partner combinations that have 2 and 3 and even 4 decks. We're now looking for the least popular standalone commander that's also been around for a minute. That means passing by some other TMNT and Spider-Man draft chaffers, as well as Pipsqueak from Avatar, which has 5 decks to its name, but that's also technically too new. That is a set that came out after Spider-Man, so this can't be our final answer either. This journey got a lot more complicated. Why is this such a difficult question to answer? But okay, I found one. It's technically been out for just over a year, which isn't a huge runway, but it's more than the handful of months that all the other ones had, right? This is at least one that has had the chance to prove that it kind of sucks, yeah? So, all right, what is it? The answer is Valor's Flagship, a legendary vehicle that can be your commander and which hails from EDHREC'd. Okay. No. No, I'm sorry. I'm not accepting that one. Throw tomatoes at me or whatever, but this doesn't work. Even if EDHREC'd has been around for over a year, 15 months as of the time of writing this video, this option also doesn't stick for me as the answer to our question. Why? Because this thing was only eligible to be a commander when the rules changed in Edge of Eternities. This card was released as a normal legendary vehicle, and then in June of 2025, the rules changed to allow that type of card to now be a commander. Love that for you, Valor's Flagship. I'm sure you're a great time at parties, but I can't accept you as the Queen of Crap Mountain. You've only been an eligible commander for 11 months. That's not a proven accolade. That's a proto-accident. So this video is flying off the rails now. All I wanted was to find the least popular commander. Why is this so hard? But I am not giving up. I will persevere. I'm about to be like my fellow when he sees a knickknack in a pawn shop window, okay? It will be time consuming and it will cost me everything, but damn it, I'm going to find out what that little piece of shit is. And I'm dragging you along with me because it's far too late for you to click away now. So, after scrolling through hundreds of 0-deck pairs and thousands of unpaired options, after scouring through hundreds of partners with 1 or 2 decks each and then tons more that have 4, 5, 6, 7 decks, if we're trying to find the commander with the fewest decks who's actually been around for a decent chunk of time and who isn't just a random partner pairing, I can at last tell you that the answer is Zhao Zilong from Portal 3 Kingdoms. He has 12 decks to his name, and he's an absolute turd. A 5-mana, 3/3 with horsemanship, an evasive keyword when he attacks, but who gives himself +1 when he blocks. Congratulations, we did it, we found it. I feel empty inside. So, okay, why is this one so very, very low? Well, it isn't even just that he's got 2 bland as heck abilities that don't really cooperate and which don't give any hook to build around. It's also that he's a monocolored deck. That's an uphill battle, Multicolor commanders tend to be more popular. He's also mono-white, a color that historically has just had less support than the other colors across all of Commander's offerings over the years. Plus, Zhao Zilong is from an obscure set that a lot of players won't know about. And because he's so obscure, as well as some history around that set, he's $100. So that even puts the card out of accessibility for a bunch of people. This is a perfect storm of problems all packed into one card. And yeah, I found my answer, but man, this victory is the darkest possible chocolate. It is so bittersweet because this is such a bland result, right? Zhao Zilong doesn't even have the audacity to be an interesting final answer. But that was always going to be the case. Commanders who suck but who are interesting about it don't end up at the lowest spots. We were never going to get the commander equivalent of The Room, something that's trash but at least in a fascinating way. We were only ever going to end up with the commander equivalent of Jaws 2: The Revenge. And here's the real kicker, the true irony out of all of this. Once I say this, once I publish this video and put a spotlight on this dumpster diva, will that inspire other people to build it? Will that inspire people to take a crack at even making one more deck for Zhao Zilong and then pushing it out of this title and changing its rank? The answer is yeah, probably. I guess that means we'll just have another journey ahead of us sometime in the future. So what's the answer to the question, who is the least popular commander in all of EDH? The answer is, it kind of depends. Do you count the 283 unpaired zero deck legends out there? Do you count partners even if individual pieces of those pairs have more decks in other places? Do you count unpartnered commanders like Halden Solo? Do you count the newest stuff that just came out but which hasn't really had the chance to establish itself yet? Do you count commander options that have been recently affected by rules changes? Or do you look for a standalone legend who's been around for a while? Take your pick. I know which one resonates with me, but if you disagree, let me know which of these you think should be the true winner of this title. Thank you so much to Dragon Shield for sponsoring this video. Thank you to you for watching, and of course consider hitting the YouTube buttons or checking out the Patreon if you want even more where this came from. But until next time, remember, EDHREC your deck before you wreck your deck.